They are taught to blame everyone else. Right? You have unprotected sex, and now you're pregnant. Now your dad's fucking pissed. Well, good for him. You don't want consequences. You don't want your dad to yell at you. So, who cares if you send an innocent man to prison? When you go to the bar and get drunk with the boys, you know exactly what you're doing. You know 100% exactly what you're doing. Now, of course, with literally every category of people who are most likely to be victimized, men are at the fucking top of the goddamn list. And everything except for sexual assault. Women are apparently more likely to be sexually assaulted. We've come to find out recently that that's entirely not the case. And of course, we got Twitter and we got Facebook and we got all these different places that are giving us a lot of really useful numbers. Like how many of the people who get on and pretend like their boyfriend raped, how many of them have bragged about the fact that they lied? It's 90%. What does that mean? Well, it means that 90% of the time when a woman claims that she was sexually assaulted, she wasn't. 90% of rapes against females and molestation against females is because they were taught to use that as an excuse. They were taught this. They were also taught to brag about it. We've also got men who, when a woman doesn't get what she wants, even men will encourage her the same way that other women encourage her to lie about being abused because then she'll get what she wants. How shameful is that? Now this video here is very specifically about autism. And the thousands and thousands of women who hit the wall and their free ride is fucking over, but they don't have any fucking skills. Not a goddamn skill in the world other than batting your eyes. When that guy is feeding you shots of alcohol, you know goddamn well what he's doing, and you are willingly being a participant in that. You know how it's going to end up before the night is over. And then you play stupid. There's some of the women at one of the churches here. I'm not real happy with the church, but those women are trying to clandestine be supportive. You matter. Now they write a whole bunch of these out and they send them to the side, but for some reason, when they write them for me, they write them out special. Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Someone's got to. When everybody else is afraid, too afraid to even speak up. Here I am, speaking up. So how many of these women that got onto this autism site, they want to make it all about women? It's only about women and only about the sex thing. None of them want to admit any of the harmful things that they've done to people. While men who are autistic and adults are told that it's nearly impossible to diagnose somebody who's an adult as autistic, the majority of women who have been diagnosed as autistic have done so when they're adults, after they hit the wall. What does this tell us? This tells us that doctors are giving women special treatment, preferential treatment. This means they're playing on bias, not the law. We've gotten to see in the last 4 years how BLM has been hijacked by women. What was BLM started about? About the mass quantity of black men who are being murdered by police. That's what BLM was started for. Was BLM started about rape? No, we have the Me Too wait, we don't have the Me Too movement for that. Only women have that. We have created a society whereby a woman is not held accountable for any of her actions. Everything is always a man's fault. Men pay for women's stuff willingly, and when they get sick of being taken advantage of, then they have to pay everyone's stuff, women included, unwillingly. Do you really think that men want to give up everything that they own? You say half, but they end up losing more than half of their shit. Do they deserve that just because their wife was a cheating asshole? No. No, they don't. And we've got women who want to hijack BLM from black folks, from black men in specific. 96% of those killed by police are men, so maybe you should stop being a racist piece of shit and start fighting for men's rights. Oh, but you can't do that, because if you fight for men's rights, who are you going to fucking take it out on? Well, do what the racists did. When the racists were told they're not allowed to take it on you black people anymore, they take it out on homeless people. There's black homeless people, not that you noticed. The majority of those killed by police officers are homeless. 96% of those who are killed by police are men. Half of our population are men. 50%. 61% of those killed by police last year were homeless, out of a population size of 0.18%. That's less than 1/5 of 1%. 1/5 of 1% of our population accounted for 61% of those killed by police last year. The homeless also accounted for literally 2/3 of the people murdered last year. 2/3. There are two homeless people murdered by people in houses for every one person in a house who was killed. Now, to be honest, it's fully 3/4, because there's a lot of those crimes that you miss out on. There's a lot of homeless people killing homeless people too. There are 2 homeless people killed by somebody in a house for every one homeless person who's killed by another homeless person. So what are we getting at here? Our lives don't matter. Getting attention and getting a free ride is what matters. Oh, you're still pretty enough that you can con a doctor into giving you a note. A doctor who's not a neurologist. A doctor who is not fit or qualified to diagnose you as autistic. But he's going to write it down anyway because you're pretty. And you're pulling the, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me thing. When you make bad decisions in dating, and you want to blame all men, and you want to claim that they took advantage of you, they took advantage of you, they took advantage of you, you can always say no. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the issues that I hear women complaining about who are claiming that they're a part of the autism community are things that many of us men have to deal with. But these women are cutting us out, pretending that because we're men, we don't have real problems. Autistic males are abused just as often as autistic females, if not more so, because everyone has to be afraid to harm a woman or even to piss off a woman, because every woman in America has been taught that if she doesn't get what she wants, just lie. He didn't buy you the car that you wanted, or you got busted cheating. Shit, just say he raped you. Just say he beat you. Oh, people don't want to believe your bullshit anymore because you're too busy taking advantage of people. What do you do then? You pretend to be autistic. Oh, I just found out I was autistic 2 days ago. So the lady seriously typed. No, she didn't find out she was autistic. Her free ride ran out. And now she wants someone else to pick up the bill and feel sorry for her. And you know what? All of these male channel creators are forced to take time out of educating people on autism to give women a special segment just for them. Is there a special segment just for autistic males? No, there's not. There's the, oh, well, we all know about autistic males. We all know about autistic males. No, the fuck you don't. You ignore us. We have the same problems you do, except worse. Because nobody's going to fucking hear us. Even in the autism community, we have women hijacking it. With BLM, we got women hijacking it. Anything having to do with men's rights is going to be hijacked by women. Going to be. Oh, the majority of autistic people are male. Well, we need to make this a female thing and make sure that people ignore autistic males. It's all about females and sex. When you have unprotected sex or stupid sex because you were stupid and did stupid things and put yourself in a stupid situation, it's men's fault. When you get drunk and throw yourself at a guy like a $2 hooker, and then in the morning you realize he's not good looking. Oh, now you can't remember what happened last night and he must be a rapist. Meanwhile, if he's good looking, somehow magically you remember that. When he turns you down because he's being a gentleman's not going to take advantage of you when you're drunk. But what do? When you feel horrible that he turned you down, this is somehow some sort of an insult against you because he wouldn't fuck you and wouldn't kiss you while you still had puke on your face. And then, of course, men are getting the shaft at every fucking corner, every fucking turn. The 10% of men that you give a chance, they have options. They can throw you away like you're fucking trash for a reason. You don't fucking matter. They have options. There are 80% of the men in the United States that you don't give two shits about unless you fucking want something. Unless you feel like manipulating because you don't want to actually put in the work. When Jamie Curtis moved out of James Payton's house, how many men helped her and how much has she talked about how she did it all herself? I helped her move out of James Payton's house. I helped her move out of there. At least 6 men took part in just the moving part. Then there's the 4 men who ended up paying for the majority of it. Myself, Todd Rust, Clyde, I'm trying to remember Clyde's last name. What the fuck was that other kid's name? I can't remember now. But basically, Jamie had a big old gap between her teeth. She was funny looking. Lots of people told her so. Then she got braces and her teeth were straight, and all of a sudden she was pretty. She changed immediately. She was all of a sudden more smiley than she ever was. She was also getting more male validation than she had ever received. How many women out there are only after male validation while blaming men for everything and then complaining that men don't want them? Well, who the fuck wants to be with somebody who's going to take advantage of them, bully them, berate them, and if she doesn't get what she wants, run around and accuse him of doing all sorts of the God's worst sins? You want to ignore literally all of the abuse that all autistic people are having to go through. And you want to make it specially about you by finding the one part that you can pretend that you're more victimized than males. Sexual assault. When you're verbally abusive, mentally abusive, and physically abusive against a man, you don't see anything wrong with that. Why the hell not? If it's so wrong if a man does it, how is it so right when you do it? You want special treatment. The thing is, there's people like me who get special treatment. We get the mentally ill treatment. While you get the, oh, poor her, she's just a girl. For a rich and famous person, mentally ill is, oh, poor them, they got a mental illness. For a poor person, it's, Jesus, fuck, why don't they lock him up or fucking string him up? He's mentally ill. If you're poor, you're mentally ill and dangerous. If you're rich, you're mentally ill and prone to being taken advantage of. If you're a male and you're mentally ill, you must be a violent schizophrenic. If you're a female who's mentally ill, poor you, you're being taken advantage of. And of course, we got black women trying to hijack BLM. We're going to make it about sexual assault against black women and the number of abortions by black women. Oh, these women wouldn't need abortions if they weren't raped. Are you sure about that? Are you fucking sure about that? I know multiple women who had to lie at a clinic about being raped so they could get their abortions. Of course, as soon as you say that your boyfriend raped you, now there's an inquiry, and now people are asking him questions, and now his life is being destroyed. All because you didn't want to pay for an abortion. You wanted a free abortion. Or because they weren't going to give you an abortion unless you lied. How fucked up is that? I say it's pretty fucked up. So, of course, we got women who want to pretend that they're autistic. They're not being treated the way that an autistic male is. They're certainly not being treated the way an autistic male is. Although many of them pretend that they are. Men are far less likely to play victim. Far less likely. According to the... Oh shit, I broke my fucking phone again. I just fixed this goddamn thing. Fuck it, I'll have to get one of them sleeve things to put over the top of it so it doesn't break anymore. Hopefully. Cost me $137 to fix the goddamn thing. I am legit disabled. I get a disability check, but the laws surrounding a male who is disabled and being abused aren't followed. That's because we don't have any women supporting us. While women are complaining that nobody listens to them, no, we're absolutely listening to you. We are bowing down to your every will and command, and no matter how much we give, it's not enough. No matter what, you have to take everything from us. Everything. From the real victims. By pretending. You want to hijack BLM and make BLM about black women and sexual assault. You want to make autism about autistic women and sexual assault. You want to ignore any and all abuse against men. You want to claim to be a part of the autistic community, but that's not what you are. You're not a part of our community. You don't take part in our community. You take part in destroying our community. Imagine if I was allowed to pretend that I'm black. If I was allowed to be a part of BLM, that way maybe some of those people, because not everybody with BLM is black, Maybe some of those people might actually give a shit about the most marginalized people in the country. The homeless. The homeless are number one. If you consider that 0.18% of the population accounts for 61% of those killed in the United States, that's pretty fucking marginalized. But then again, like I said, we're being hijacked by women. Women who want special attention. Women who don't want to be held accountable. Well, that's not our fault. That's not our choice. We can't get heard. The autism societies don't give a shit about us. They follow the, what do they call that place? Autism Speaks way of thinking. We're wrong, we're bad, and we need to be cured. You get to see with autistic people how they don't work together. They absolutely don't. You get to see the situation with Claire, where if we would have worked together, things would have gone more smoothly. But what was she interested in? Many women have been taught that if they use their vaginas, then they can get what they want. And then to play victim afterwards, like, oh, that sucker fell for it. Now I can blame him. Claire started dating a guy named Casey. Casey was strung out on meth. But she was hoping that by coupling up with him, by giving up that portion of her anatomy, that would kind of seal him in, seal the deal as far as coupling goes. And then he would be more likely to help her out with trying to get her kids back. Well, that didn't work. There's only one person other than her who is invested in trying to help her get her kids back. Me! Me! When did she promise that she would help me? When she could take advantage of me. Now, like many men, we, myself included, make excuses for women when they do that. Like, oh, yes, she wanted her kids. I have to understand. Well, I do understand. I do understand that children are more important, but I also understand that when you promise somebody who is disabled and you have the same disability, or at least claim to, you claim to know how it is, but you never speak up with that victim. While Claire was here, I did pay her to help me, and no, she didn't show up. She also, on the days that she said that she would help me, she either pawned me off on Casey, or she needed a whole bunch of stuff done for her before she could help me. And once it was all done, she was gone. Repeatedly. Is Claire autistic? Yes, she has Asperger's, same as me. She is highly intelligent, same as me. No, she is not one of these women who did too many drugs and then later on in life wanted to play victim. She's absolutely aware of the scenario and the situation. But also, she doesn't speak up. She only speaks up for her. How about Laura Nelson? Very selfish person. She is not autistic. You take a look at BLM. You take a look at the leadership of BLM. You notice they're all black. Now take a look at Autism Speaks and the leadership in Autism Speaks. The people who started Autism Speaks, one of them literally tortured homosexuals to try to cure them of their mental illness of being homosexuals. They do the same thing to autistic people to this very day. Why is that? Why is it that out of all of the abuse and the being taken advantage of that all of us who are autistic have to go through, including Claire, why is it that all these people want to ignore all of that and then push the sex, Rape, 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 rape. All men are rapey. First of all, you chose to date him. You chose to say yes, and you could have left at any point in time. Sure, you would have ended up homeless. It becomes a toss-up. Do you make the same excuses for men who have to flee female abuse? No, you don't. We've taught every woman in America. Every single woman in America knows that she can play victim. Cry rape at any point in time. Claim that he beat her. Why'd you stick with him if he's beating on you? Housing? Is that it? You know, there are 15 services for women in Boulder, Colorado. For every one co-ed service. And those co-ed services cater primarily to women. Women are undermining every effort that we have made to try to rescue this country from sexist women. There's even women now who, instead of doing something about these sexist women, about these predatory women, they want to get onto Facebook and YouTube and whine that men won't touch them. Men won't touch their vaginas. Men won't look their direction. Why the fuck would we? You're not doing anything about the female predators. You're pretending they don't fucking exist. Well, those female predators are the reason we're not going to the gym. Those female predators are the reason that we're not dating. Those female predators are the reason that we're not rescuing you any fucking more. But if you notice, we're still expected to rescue you. So we do so anyway, while you play victim, while you try to hijack anything that will make you seem like more of a victim, seem like you must have been taken advantage of. No, the fuck you weren't. You took advantage of a dude, he got sick of your fucking shit, and then you went out of your way to destroy his life when it didn't work. When slandering his name didn't work, then you want to play victim. Oh, BLM needs to pay attention to black women. Black women are having to go through worse. No, it's not worse. No, the fuck it is not worse. No woman in America has it worse than men overall. 80% of the spending in this country is done by women. 80% of it. You want to complain that men earn more money than you. They work an average of 7 hours a week, more overtime than women do. Overtime. This is why men earn more money. Men perform dangerous construction jobs that require you to pay attention to your surroundings. Ain't no table talk about who Susie's fucking. Because if you're focused on who Susie is fucking, and you and your coworkers are going to spend half the day talking about Susie and who Susie is fucking, you're not paying attention to your job. You're not paying attention to your work. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you. And you are going to get yourself and others injured. You are going to be fucking fired. We're expected to give women special treatment when they come onto the job site. We're supposed to expect that socially she's just going to talk about herself or others. She's not going to focus on the task at hand. That's why there are so few women who can fix your roof. Why there are so few women who can run a sewer snake. Why there are so few women who can pour a cement form or even set up a cement form. While you were growing up learning about Barbies and having babies and how to man trap, We were learning how to provide for our families. We were learning how to build things to make the world a better place. We were learning how to construct a roof to put over your head. Now, one of the biggest things that we're dealing with right now is sexism, specifically from man-hating women, where autistic males are being victimized wholesale, but we've got women who just did a bunch of friggin' drugs, hit the wall, and aren't getting free stuff anymore. So then they want to go, oh, well, I'm autistic. I found out I was autistic 2 days ago. So magically, every time I ever had sex, I must have been raped because I'm autistic. Are you fucking kidding me? As a victim of sexual assault, I am highly fucking offended by this. As somebody who is legit autistic, I have Asperger's. It is not the same as low-functioning autism. The fact that we as men who are autistic have to have a woman speak up for us. We have no leadership that is speaking up for us. We're not allowed to speak up for each other. We have to be afraid of being victimized if we do that. If our parents are not autistic, they're not going to try to understand. Chances are pretty good they're going to tell us, well, we just need to ignore it. That doesn't fucking work. You ever been punched in the face? Try ignoring the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one. You ever been in a fight one-on-one? Try ignoring that. Try ignoring 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1, 5-on-1. When a woman doesn't get her way, as much as she may support the LGBT community, if she doesn't get her way with her boyfriend, it's, oh, he's a rapist who wears girls' panties. He's into little boys. Oh yeah, sure, you're all down with the LGBT community, but you're claiming that this man is into little boys and wears girls' panties. You're going for the jugular. When it comes to sexual assault, with the number of women who have bragged on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok about destroying a man's life by lying about him, it is nearly impossible to believe any woman who claims that she was sexually assaulted. There's also a woman named Teresa Massilia. Now, Teresa Massilia knows how to present sex, to ooze sex, to try to play on her looks and her gender. She has a show on YouTube now after she was raped in Boulder, right? And she went to the police and she claimed that she was raped. And she had to fight off her attacker. Right? And why am I on her side? Because I know Boulder Police Department. I know how they operate firsthand. I also know there's a lot of people that told me, dude, don't fucking stand up for her. She's a fucking tease. She goes to parties and she teases men. Pretends like she's interested. If she's not getting enough attention, then she likes to wear, well, bathing suits under her clothes instead of an actual bra and an actual panties. That way, if she's not getting enough attention at one of the parties that she's gone to, because she's in her 30s now, she looks like she's maybe 17, 18. Maybe 23 at the oldest. Big brown baby seal eyes. And of course, if you look at her channel, you get to notice that she very much makes an active effort to present sex as what she's selling. Sure, she talks about the mushrooms, but then, of course, it's about making the doe eyes and accentuating, making sure that she pushes full attention on the accentuation of her bosom. When I first started sticking up for her, I'd already been assaulted by one of the officers that she was speaking up about, Clint. Now, she's a tease. Teasing somebody doesn't make it okay to rape them. It does constitute, however, sexual harassment. That's right, teasing a man or teasing a woman does constitute sexual harassment. And how do I know this? Because I know men who have served time and spent money for sexual harassment because they were flirting with a woman. She never said no. She never gave any indication that she wasn't interested in the guy. But, of course, if a woman is uncomfortable with it, it's a crime. Really? How about we follow the laws as far as what a fucking crime is? When the police officers get to pick and choose what's legal and what's not legal based on your gender, we need to stop fucking paying the police. When any woman who doesn't get her way gets to pretend like she was raped or beaten, yeah, it's time for men to stop providing for women. It's time for men to stop going to work and paying for their wives. I can understand paying for a stay-at-home mother. She's taking care of your kids. That's something I can understand. But a stay-at-home wife? What does she do? What does she provide? Just sex? Just her vagina? If that's all she's bringing to the table, if she wants to use her vagina to get what she wants and then play like he's the sexual predator, no, you are. You're a prostitute. You are literally a prostitute at that point. When you are accentuating your feminine assets in order to get people to look at you, you do not get to complain that people looked at you. If I dress up like a fucking clown and people are looking at me funny, it's probably because I'm out in public dressed like a fucking clown. If I go out in public dressed like a $2 fucking hooker, I'm going to get treated like a $2 fucking hooker. So here's some dating tips for you. That seems to be what people care about when it comes to men's rights, or the rights of autistic people. Coupling up, getting a girlfriend, getting a boyfriend. This is what you guys care about. This is what the men's rights places care about. This is what the women's rights places care about. How many women right now are complaining that men won't approach them, won't talk to them, won't nothing? Well, you know what? I don't want to get treated like a fucking rapist. I don't want to go to jail for saying hello. When it came to those two women, well, a grandmother and her grandchild just a few days ago, I didn't try passing anything into the vehicle. I stopped to see if they were all right. I left them with a thing of pepper spray, and I left them with a bug zapper. Well, not a bug zapper, one of these. Let me show you what this is. It's a flashlight. Let me show you how it works. Someone decides to put their nasty cock beaters on you, though. Scare the hell out of you, didn't it? Yeah, defending myself and defending others is important. Protecting myself and protecting my family is important. Protecting strangers is important. We get to see how we have taught women to be selfish. Women are more likely to beat their children, but all these women's groups want to hate on men. Men beat children. Only men beat children. Only men. Only men. Only men. Oh, this one woman who did this is a fluke. 13 female teachers this year, by the way, got busted having sex with students. 13 of them. Just that I'm aware of. busted actually having sex. Multiples of those women were busted because their pregnancy tests. How many male educators have gone to prison this year for having sex with students? 3. 3. What's the average sentence for those men? For actually having sex with a student? 40 years. That's the average sentence. What's the average sentence for a female in that position? 8 months. 8 months. That's about 1/60th the amount of time that a man will spend. Meanwhile, how many young women did I know in high school who had crushes on their teachers? Who flirted obnoxiously with those teachers? And those male teachers have to hold it together and maintain a professional decorum. When a male teacher realizes that a female student has a crush on him, the first thing he does is try to distance himself from her and make sure that he is never alone with her, ever. Even if he thinks she's attractive, he distances himself from her. Because even the assumption that something could have happened is enough to destroy his life. Whereas a female teacher, she's got one of them young students macking on her. What does she try to do? Try to set it up so that she can have special one-on-one time with him. Special one-on-one tutoring. How many of those female teachers this year were involved in one-on-one tutoring with a male student? Meanwhile, we've got women hijacking all of the different types of abuse that autistic men have to go through every single day. And we've got women pretending to be autistic so they can make it about sex. I made a bad decision, so I'm going to pretend that I was victimized for being autistic, right? That is so completely fucked. BLM. You got black parents with black kids who are fighting hard for those black kids. For autistic kids, what do we have? We have people like Laura Nelson, who doesn't care about her son nearly as much as she cares about the time she gets to spend with him, because she's selfish. Is she fighting for his rights? Fuck no. Is she fighting for us? Fuck no. While black people work together to change this, none of our advocates are lifting a goddamn finger to change this. Each and every one of them, Amanda DeMette, only cares about her kids. She could have worked together with me and Laura Nelson. Laura Nelson could have worked together with me and Amanda DeMette. Laura Nelson's not autistic, though, neither is Amanda. So they're not going to fight for us. Lana Ingline, not autistic. Her daughter, not autistic. Her granddaughter's autistic, apparently. Self-diagnosed by Lana. So it's not really a self-diagnosis, is it? It's Lana Ingline just deciding. Does Amanda Ingline care about the rights of autistic people? No. Not even close. If she treats her daughter the way that she treats me, then if her daughter is raped, what's Amanda going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Amanda did a lot while I was up there in Montana. She really did. But she never came forward about any of it. And all of the paperwork that we put in turned out to be a waste of time because her mother wanted to throw a temper tantrum because I wouldn't fuck her. So we got women who are hijacking literally everything. MMIP, women hijacked that. Now it's MMIW, missing and murdered indigenous women. As far as having Asperger's go, oh well, we don't care about any of the abuse that happens to people with Asperger's. What we care about is women who want to pretend like they were sexually assaulted because they didn't get what they wanted right when they wanted it. And they figure if they pretend that they're autistic, then magically someone's going to pick it up and give a shit about them. No. If they were going to care about you, they would have cared about you already. Because see, here's the thing about being autistic. When people are treating you that way, it's because you're different. The fact that you had a boyfriend or had a girlfriend shows that you have a different sense of it than the rest of us. When you want to twist autism just to fit your wants. Meanwhile, when you sexually assault a male, do you see it as sexual assault? No, you don't. Did those teachers who had sex with their underage students see it as sexual assault? No, they fucking didn't. They saw it as a target of opportunity. And we have taught all women in the United States that all men are targets of opportunity. He has money, go play with his head until he's out of money. And then be as cruel as possible. You want that good-looking guy, but you don't want him paying attention to anybody else. You want that guy who's got options, the guy who's so good-looking that he can have almost any woman he wants, and you have to have that one guy, don't you? And if he cheats on you, then men are horrible. It's not that man who's horrible. It's not your horrible decision-making. It's the man's fault that you did that. You know what kind of a guy he was before you started playing that stupid shit. Disney decided they didn't want Johnny Depp in their movies because he was accused of beating on women. But then when it comes to light that he's got a jar of cocaine on his table, then magically he's PG again and he can be in Disney. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? When it comes to sexual assault, you ignore men. When it comes to abuse against autistic people, you ignore men. You make it all about sex, just like you always do when you don't get your way. It must have been about sex. He was stalking me. He was stalking me. Oh, how dare he ask you to leave him alone? He asked for it. He brought it on himself. Oh yeah, you are all well-trained and well-versed in playing victim and blaming the actual victims. Oh, you could never possibly be a predator because you're sugar and spice and everything nice. And then you want to talk about how you were diagnosed as autistic 2 days ago, so magically every bad decision that you ever made is men's fault. You know what? People didn't fall for your bullshit before you pretended you were autistic. What the fuck makes you think they're going to fall for it now? Oh, yes. Because you want access to different resources. Having a 15-to-1 female resources over co-ed resources ratio is not good enough for you, is it? No, you have to go and try to destroy every man's life. These women who are pretending to be autistic so they can get sympathy are taking away from those of us who are actually being victimized. And the number one victims are not women in any of these cases. Even sexual assault has become debatable. because of the frequency of women, grown women, pretending that they were sexually assaulted to get what they want, and then literally bragging about it on Facebook and YouTube. Not bragging about being raped or molested or assaulted. Literally bragging about lying about it. Bragging about lying about it. We can't get away from women. There have been women today and girls who were nice to me, who gave me money for gasoline. And I am thankful for it. They didn't ask for anything in return. And it was primarily women who kicked something down. But then again, it's also primarily women who have the availability to do so. We've gotten to hear at least 3 times on my YouTube channel in the last 7 days where women volunteered for men to do things for me. Volunteered their husbands, volunteered their sons, volunteered their boyfriends or their brothers. They volunteered men to do manual labor. How many women do that? How many men get off of work after a 12 to 14 hour day, and then they are immediately running around on the honey-do list, doing a bunch of things for other women because the husband was volunteered for it, and he better do it. Now, out of those people that women volunteered to help me, how many of those men actually helped me? 2 of them. So half of them did help me just because a woman asked, or rather told him he was gonna. We are treated with such disrespect. We are piggy banks and manual labor. We are commodities. We are slave labor. That is what we are. Slave labor. How many women out there admit to going on dates so they can get a free meal? Almost 70%. 70%. That's a shit ton. How many expensive dates can a man go out on before he can't afford to take anybody out on a date anymore? And then, of course, he's not a man anymore because he can't provide. He can't even provide dinner. Well, great. Now we're getting somewhere. Once you've abused us until we have nothing, we are no longer of any use to you, and you throw us away. You hijack everything that is supposed to help us. Black women hijacking BLM. Native women hijacking MMIP. Women pretending to be autistic so they can get people to feel sorry for them when they pretend that a man did something bad to them. The fact is, men are blown off when they try to get help. Literally thousands of crimes have been committed against me since Natalie Bollinger was killed. Thousands of crimes. But how am I treated by the police and by these services? Like they're bored or annoyed that how dare I, as a male, come forward about abuse? How dare I? You get to see how my predators were actually on drugs. Ted Bollinger got busted with drugs repeatedly. How many times have I ever been busted with drugs? Literally never. Do you know why I have literally never been busted with drugs? Because I don't do drugs. Also, I didn't just magically pretend that I was autistic at 36 years old. I already had a diagnosis from when I was like 9. An actual diagnosis of autism. Yes, it does lead to rampant victimization. It absolutely does. What is not okay is for women to hijack all of this, to make themselves the center of attention, as always. How dare men get any attention? When you want to complain that men won't give you the time of day, keep in mind that you didn't do anything about any of the predators that made it that way. You women aren't speaking up for men's rights, while we fought hard for you to have rights. BLM doesn't give a shit about white people's rights, although many of us fought hard for their rights. Meanwhile, the rights that we fought hard for are rights that we don't have, we don't get. When a woman hits the wall and realizes that she's not going to get all that free shit anymore, she starts scrambling for free shit because she's got a lifestyle that she wants to maintain and uphold. And how dare she have to go to work and provide that lifestyle? Men perform physical labor. How many men in this country are in construction? How many women are in construction? How many females do you know that would even attempt to be a hod carrier, let alone a bricklayer? You start off on the lowest rung of the ladder when you go into a trade. What does that mean? It means that you got a wheelbarrow full of wet, sloshy cement that's heavy, and you have to push that wheelbarrow. You got a whole pallet of bricks. You have to move that whole pallet of bricks. If you fuck up, you can get yourself or someone else injured or killed. When I hear women say they can do anything a man can do, that's not true. It's absolutely not true. That comes down to the individual. I'm not going to pretend that a man who's 5'1", 96 pounds, I'm not going to pretend that he is stronger or can take more punishment than a woman who is 6'1", 350. I'm not going to pretend for one fucking moment that he stands a chance in a fight. Although he might. The smaller they are, the more they had to learn to scrap growing up. People don't want to fight with the big guy because he's big. It's intimidating. Why did most of the guys that were bigger than me who decided to fight with me, why did most of them lose when most of the people my size or smaller ended up winning? Because I was fucking scared shitless of them, and they didn't have any experience fighting. So they probably shouldn't have stuck their hands on me. When it comes to this rampant sexism, women are hijacking everything. How dare we try to fight for the rights of autistic people when there's autistic women or women who want to pretend they're autistic? How dare we fight for the rights of black men who are being murdered by the police wholesale? When there's women who want to use that to play victim, want to hijack BLM from black men who are being murdered wholesale. Meanwhile, all of you are hijacking the abuse that the homeless have to go through. Does Claire speak up for the other autistic folks? No, she doesn't. She claims that she's gonna. Did Laura Nelson speak up for other autistic folks? No, she didn't. She shows how incredibly selfish she is and how she doesn't care about her son. She's no spring chicken and she's not in good physical health. She's obese and she's old. And her heart probably isn't going to hold out much longer. And her husband does not have the temperament to take care of their son without her keeping him in check. She has to keep her husband in check so that her husband doesn't push their son into a fucking meltdown. So she's not speaking up for us the way that black parents are speaking up for their black children. Amanda DeMette isn't sticking up for us the way that black people stick up for black children. Claire Jordan isn't sticking up for autistic folks the way that black people stick up for other black people. And she's a pretty white girl with blue eyes. Blonde hair. Oh yeah, but she's also hit the wall. She's at that age. She's not as young and pretty as she used to be. Does that make her any less of a human being? No, it doesn't. The fact that they tried to take her kids away, did take her kids away, because they intentionally pushed her to have an autistic meltdown. That's abhorrent. You get to see out here on the streets how the police don't just victimize men, they also victimize women. They're just more likely to murder us. They are more likely to murder men by a lot. 20-to-1 ratio. It's actually greater than that. The police kill 20 men for every 1 woman they kill. 20 men are murdered by police for every 1 woman shot by the police. There are more hate crimes against the homeless than all other hate crimes combined in the United States against all other groups. Then again, it's not considered a hate crime to take it out on a homeless person. It is a hate crime to go after a child molester. Imagine that. Why is it a hate crime to go after a child molester? Because many of these child molesters, their moms actually give a shit about them. Don't want them being targeted for fucking children, or raping children, or molesting children. They want these people to be protected when they come out onto the streets. Oh, sure, you don't want him living in your house because he's a rapist. But you don't want him getting beaten up on the streets for being a rapist. You also don't care who he rapes on the streets. One woman, her son was beaten to death in Los Angeles, California. And this is one of the things that really made people push hard for child molesters to have special rights. What'd this guy in California do? He was raping people. Went to prison, got out of prison, raped a couple of homeless women, and got beaten to death. Did he get beaten to death because of his history? No, he got beaten to death because he got caught in the act. Just like Amanda DeMette's brother got busted in the act. Just like Chelsea's son, Rain, who identifies as a woman, got busted in the act of raping his little sister. And of course, that is something that she's going to bring up every time that Rain wants special treatment. Hey, you know what? You raped your sister. Oh, but that was forever ago. Yeah, he was still pulling that after 15 months after he raped his sister. After only a couple of weeks after raping his sister, he was saying that shit. That was so long ago. Why can't you just forget about it? You fucking raped your sister. That's why people aren't forgetting about it. You raped your own sister. By the way, Rain turns 18 this year. Rain lives in New Mexico. Rain is a pedophile, but it's magically okay because Rain identifies as LGBT. No. You're fucking disgusting.